If you woke up today, you are carrying a gift, a divine inheritance. Yesterday was not guaranteed. Tomorrow is not owed. Today is all we truly have somewhere. Someone didn't wake up somewhere. A heart took its last beat. A breath didn't come. A dream remained unrealized. But here you are, awake, alive, able. If you can see, hear, smell, speak, walk, feel, and think, then you hold in your possession the raw material of a powerful day. What you do with it, how you carry it, will shape everything that follows. The Stoics knew this. They woke with the understanding that life owed them nothing. The Stoics were thankful every time they saw the sunrise. They prepared their minds before they prepared their meals. Stoicism is not a cold detachment. It is a fierce embrace of reality, a relentless refusal to waste what is so easily lost. This is a call to live like it matters, because it does. This is a manual, not a philosophy, but of daily spiritual armor. Each chapter that follows is a morning mantra, a truth to burn into the soul before the noise begins. These are the words you must say to yourself every morning, not once, not when convenient, but every morning. Let us begin. Chapter 1. I am alive, and that alone is victory. Start here. Let the simplicity wash over you and take root. You are alive, that truth alone demolishes any illusion that today is empty or without purpose. Existence itself is rare. Your heart beats, your lungs draw air, and your eyes scan the lights of a new day, in a world where millions no longer get that privilege. Your very presence is already extraordinary. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, and devoted Stoic, reminded himself each morning, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This is not a motivational quote to toss around loosely. It is armor, a defense system for the mind. A reminder that shields you from the corrosive habits of comparison, complaining, and complacency. You are not entitled to this day. You are entrusted with it. It has been given to you with no explanation, no condition, no guarantee of another. That truth alone should flood you with a sense of sacred responsibility. When you remember this, small inconveniences lose their grip. A traffic jam no longer provokes rage. It becomes a platform for practicing patience. A rude comment becomes a signal to examine your own ego, to lean into humility, to see irritation as a mirror. The frustrations that once defined your morning begin to dissolve into clarity when you wake up and say, I am alive. You are choosing awareness over autopilot. You are stepping into consciousness instead of default. You are choosing to notice the scent of your coffee, the coolness of water on your skin, the gentle rhythm of your breath. You are choosing to feel your existence instead of sleepwalking through it. Every breath is a silent gift, a soft whisper that you still have time to learn, time to grow, time to do better, time to love, time to forgive, time to begin again. Each step you take is a victory of survival. Each decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your character. Each act of patience, courage, or stillness becomes a form of spiritual weightlifting. You have already conquered something monumental just by being here. You didn't have to earn this morning, but you do have to answer to it. There is no need to prove your worth. Your existence affirms it. Let that be your foundation. Let that strip away the urgency to impress or perform. This is not denial of struggle. It is the placement of struggle within the proper frame. It is about knowing that pain does not mean failure. Difficulty does not mean misalignment. Struggle is not an exit. It is an entry point to deeper wisdom. So remember, while the world spins with chaos and uncertainty, you have this moment, this single, brilliant, irretrievable moment. And this moment is enough to be present, enough to speak with kindness, enough to pause before reacting, enough to feel alive, to act with purpose, to be fully awake. You do not need to conquer the world today. You do not need to have it all figured out. You simply need to honor the chance to exist within it, the chance to align yourself with your values, one breath at a time. That is a Stoic lens. That is the first and most important truth of the day. It is the compass from which all decisions flow, the foundation upon which all virtue is built. Without this fundamental awareness, our actions lack depth and purpose. Our pursuits become hollow performances rather than expressions of integrity. This awareness is not just a tool. It is a sacred reminder, a call to rise above routine and step into reverence before you check your plans, before you chase your ambitions. You must first honor the miracle of simply being that breath. You just took a moment that billions before you can no longer have. This is where reverence begins, not in the grand gestures, but in the humble recognition of existence life. When seen clearly, it is not ordinary. It is all-inspiring. Everything else builds from this unshakable foundation. Whether it's your patience in a traffic jam, your willingness to forgive a harsh word, or your commitment to excellence in even the smallest of tasks. All of it begins with the first realization. You are alive. You have this day, this single brilliant, repeatable day. And this day is sacred. Without that grounding, you drift like a ship without a rudder. You follow distractions. You chase illusions with it. You are anchored in clarity. You are empowered to turn intention into action, awareness into clarity, and breath into momentum. You do not move aimlessly. You move deliberately. You act with conviction. You love with urgency. You speak with care because you remember what is at stake, everything. Let this truth not only start your day, but shape it. Refine it and redefine how you meet the world. Let it color your thoughts with patience. Let it infuse your voice with grace. Let it straighten your spine with courage. Let it whisper in every quiet corner of challenge and triumph alike. You are alive. Begin with that. Let it be your shield when fear approaches. Let it be your compass. When doubt clouds your vision, begin with the breath. Then walk forward with eyes wide open to the miracle that today truly is when your eyes open in the morning. Whisper to yourself, I am alive. That is enough. That is victory. Don't wait for coffee. Don't wait for mood. Start with reverence. Start with awe. Chapter 2. Today is not owed to me. Entitlement is the silent killer of gratitude. When we expect to wake up, we lose the miracle of it. We take the extraordinary for granted. The sun rises, and instead of reverence, we scroll our heart's beat, and instead of awe, we complain. When we assume we have time, we begin to treat it like an infinite resource. And in that assumption, we start wasting it. Moments passed over, kindness withheld, boldness delayed. The Stoics lived with the constant awareness that tomorrow is not promised, that every breath is a gift, not a guarantee. Seneca warned us with piercing clarity. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. What if this were your last morning? What if this were the final sunrise you ever saw? Would you still reach for your phone before your soul? Would you still dwell on trivial inconveniences? Would you still silence your courage, your love, your ambition? Probably not. You would greet the day with reverence. You would tell those you love that you love them. You would move through your schedule with a quiet, unshakable purpose. That is how the Stoic lives every day, not because they fear death, but because they have made peace with it. To walk through life with awareness of death is not morbid. It is liberation. It frees you from the delusion that your time is unlimited. It is the wake-up call that most ignore until it's too late. It dissolves the illusion of permanence that so often leads us to delay our growth, silence our truth, or coast through days, as if they were infinite awareness of death is what fuels urgency. Not a frantic, panicked urgency, but a sacred, focused urgency. It focuses your priorities. It sharpens your perception. It teaches you how to let go of the petty, the shallow, the distracting momentum. Mori is the Stoic mantra. That means remember. You must die, but its power lies not in its darkness. It lies in its illumination. It strips away false importance and reveals what is essential. It is not to depress, but to direct it. It is not a closing door, but an invitation to step through the present one. With clarity, purpose, and courage, it trains the eyes to see what is often ignored, that your ordinary morning is extraordinary, that your mundane routine is laced with miracle, that your heartbeat is not just rhythm, it is privilege, momentum. Mori awakens the soul. It tears off the mask of later and exposes the lie of someday. It urges you to stop postponing your best self, to stop waiting for perfect conditions to speak truth, to show up to risk something real. It commands you to step out of the shadows of hesitation. It says, this is the time, this is the day. It invites you to fully participate in your life. Rather than watching it unfold passively, it invites you to be a co-creator of your character, not a spectator of your habits. It reminds you that this day, right now, is not a rehearsal. This is it. This is the moment. This is the arena. This is your legacy in motion. What you choose to do with it will echo, not just through your own life, but into the lives of others who witness your courage, your resilience, and your clarity. Memento mori is not an ending. It is the most powerful beginning imaginable before you reach for your phone in the morning. Pause, say, this day is not owed to me. I will not waste it like it is. Chapter 3. I am responsible for my mind. The external world is noisy, chaotic, and uncontrollable. It rushes at you the moment you wake. Headlines demands comparisons, distractions, but inside, you carry the one thing the Stoics prized above all your reasoned mind. That inner sanctuary is the true throne of your life. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will remains free." This is not just metaphor. It is the architecture of resilience. It is the assertion that while the world may shake your surroundings, it cannot break your core unless you give it permission. When you wake up, you are the gatekeeper of your mindset. You are the architect of your mental landscape. This is not a passive role. It is a sacred responsibility. You decide what enters your soul and what is kept outside the walls. You stand at the gates of your consciousness with a choice. Do I invite in clarity or chaos? If you begin your day, reactive checking messages, consuming negativity, falling into comparison traps, you are surrendering your fortress to invaders. You are leaving the gates wide open to forces that neither honor your growth nor protect your peace. You are allowing your sacred inner space to be dictated by the demands and dysfunction of the world outside. But if you begin with reflection, with values, with a commitment to inner discipline, you are fortifying your command tower. You are declaring that this mind is sovereign ground. You are deciding to run your day instead of letting your day run you. The Stoic does not merely endure the noise of life. They outgrow it. They choose what is worthy of their attention and starve what is not. You start with breath. You start with silence. You start by anchoring yourself in who you are, not who the world tries to convince you to be. You cannot control the traffic, but you can control your breath, your pace, your tone. You cannot control gossip or the careless words of others, but you can control your response, whether you mirror pettiness or model composure. You can't control outcomes, success results, how people perceive you, but you can control effort, integrity, and presence. That is not just real power. that is unshakable freedom. And it begins always with the morning declaration that your mind is your own, that no matter what storm brews outside, your peace remains untouched within. That peace is not passivity. It is the most powerful form of readiness. It is the discipline of refusing to be dragged around by every whim of circumstance. Your thoughts are the tools you sharpen or neglect. Your attention is the currency you spend or waste your focus, is the lens through which all meaning is shaped. So guard them, cultivate them. Do not let distraction become your default. Do not let reactivity become your routine. Because the moment you allow the external world to dictate your internal state, you become a puppet to things far beneath you. You exchange your sovereignty for scraps. You lose yourself in noise. But if you hold the line, if you defend your mind as sacred ground, you walk into the day with armor, with poise, with presence. Reclaim the first hour of your day. That first hour is your foundation. How you build it determines the stability of everything that follows. Claim it before the world claims. You step into it with intention, with presence, with values already formed and not dictated by the latest headline or social feed. Let it be your quiet strategy session, your sacred appointment with clarity. Turn down the volume on the world and turn inward toward discipline. This first hour must belong to you before it belongs to anyone else. Reclaim the space between stimulus and response. That is where your freedom lives. In that sliver of choice, you are no longer a product of pressure. You are the producer of your peace. That space is where a reactive person becomes a reflective one. It is where you interrupt old patterns and forge new pathways. It is where your power to decide to pause, to act with virtue, lives and breathes. The Stoics sees that space as sacred, because in that pause is the difference between who you were yesterday and who you are becoming today. Reclaim the power to pause, to think, to lead yourself first. Self-leadership is not a speech. It's a practice done in the silence of your own discipline. The world needs leaders who are not loud but rooted, who are not reactive but resilient, who are not flattered by attention but faithful to their principles. You cannot lead others until you lead yourself. You cannot show up in strength if you're scattered before sunrise. To reclaim that power means to be the first voice you listen to, the one shaped by reason, not noise, the one shaped by virtue, not vanity. Begin with sovereignty of thought, and you will carry strength into every conversation, every challenge, every quiet choice. Throughout the day, every word you say will be grounded. Every step you take will be chosen, not stumbled into. You will stop drifting and start directing. Begin with your mind in your hands, shaped by truth, guided by principle, anchored in presence, and the world will not be able to take it from you. It will try, but it will fail, because the man or woman who owns their mind owns their day. And when you own your day, you begin to shape your destiny. Before starting your tasks, affirm, I control my thoughts. My reactions are my responsibility. I will choose clarity over chaos. Chapter 4. I will not be ruled by trivial things. How often do we ruin our mornings over spilled coffee, a missed notification, a harsh email, slow internet connection, the burnt toast, the misplaced keys, a broken glass. Seneca called this out centuries ago. What upsets people is not things themselves, but their judgments about these things. That one insight holds the key to unlocking your composure. It's not the inconvenience that harms you. It's your decision to internalize it. That is the core of Stoic power. You are not at the mercy of events. You are at the mercy of your interpretations. It's not just philosophy. It's an unbreakable rule of living. While life is unpredictable, often messy, and sometimes unfair, the world will not stop being inconvenient. People will interrupt you when you least expect it. Plans you, carefully made, will crumble without warning. Delays will test your patience. Your schedule will be pushed, pulled and twisted in ways you didn't prepare for, but you still retain the most essential choice of all: how you interpret. What happens? You can stop giving your peace to every inconvenience. You can stop sacrificing your serenity to every small disruption. You can stop allowing minor disturbances to shape your major emotions. In that decision lies your freedom. Let it break. Let it spill. Let it glitch. Let it unravel. Let it fall out of place, go wrong, or run late. Let it be imperfect and still beautiful. Let it be flawed and still valuable. And instead of tightening your grip, loosen it. Instead of spiraling into irritation, expand into awareness. Instead of reacting with volatility, respond with steadiness instead of resistance. Offer grace. Choose a softer stance, a higher path, a slower breath. You are not here for perfection. You are here to practice virtue, patience, when pressure builds courage, when uncertainty strikes, and discipline, when distraction surrounds you. These are the training grounds of character. Those are not passive ideals. They are active, rigorous responses to the chaos that greets every new day. Each little irritation is a micro moment of training, a moment to test the alignment between your values and your impulses. A spilled drink becomes a lesson in detachment. A slow line becomes a chance to build patience. A rude remark becomes an opportunity to extend grace. A plan gone airy becomes a drill for flexibility. You can either crumble under these moments or grow through them. Each one is an invitation to become a calmer, wiser version of yourself. If you're willing to see it that way, if you're willing to treat life not as a problem, to control, but as a rhythm, to dance with a life ruled by trivialities is a small, fragile life. It is a house made of straw, easily knocked over by a breeze, a glare, a slight. When you let minor things govern your energy, your power slips through your fingers. The more fragile your mind, the more easily you are provoked. And when you're easily provoked, you are easily controlled. But when you rise above pettiness, you rise into strength. You take back control. You build a fortress that no external chaos can invade you. Reinforce a state of being that doesn't fluctuate with circumstances. You train yourself to live above the storm, not beneath it. You become the calm eye in the hurricane. You grow a spine that stays upright in the wind. You begin to see inconvenience, not as an enemy, but as a tutor, a mentor that appears in small forms, in seemingly insignificant moments. A dropped glass, a missed train, a last-minute cancellation, a misunderstood comment. These become your curriculum. Each disruption becomes a masterclass in stability. You stop being a slave to every external variable and become a master of your internal values. You stop being a puppet and become a person of principle, someone whose actions are not based on ease or applause, but on alignment with what's right. That is Stoicism at its peak, when you walk through the disorder of the world with order in your soul, when your inner world becomes so rooted, so aligned with virtue, that no storm outside can pull you from your center. You become untouchable, not because the world softens, but because you have sharpened your peace into a blade. Practice this in the mirror. Say, I will not allow minor things to steal major energy. I choose to rise above them. Chapter 5. I choose to live with virtue. The Stoics returned to it like breath itself, not because it was easy, but because it was essential. They understood that without virtue, life is hollow, No matter how wealthy, successful, or admired one may be, they taught that the good life is not a comfortable life, but a virtuous one. The good life is not. The easy path, it is the honest one. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." And those words were not mere principles, but a morning commandment, a compass to navigate the chaos of life each day, is a fresh canvas to paint with virtue, a blank sacred surface upon which your character is revealed, stroke by stroke, choice by choice. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a present commitment, a willingness to act with integrity in this moment, regardless of yesterday's mistakes or tomorrow's unknowns. You do not need every detail mapped. You need clarity of values. You need moral compass, not external validation. To be honest, when lying is easy, to be disciplined. When laziness beckons, to be kind. When irritation tempts, to show humility. When ego screams for credit, to act with courage. When fear urges retreat. These are the real victories, not loud, not showy, but defining. Every interaction is a test of your principles. Every decision is an echo of your inner code. You are either aligning with your values or drifting from them. There is no neutral ground in the moral arena. Virtue does not mean being perfect. It means choosing the hard right over the easy wrong again and again until the hard right becomes instinct. It's not about the absence of flaw. It's about the presence of discipline. It's about the quiet decision to hold your ground when it would be easier to abandon it. It means aligning your actions with the kind of person you want to become, not the kind of person you want to appear to be. It means sacrificing convenience for clarity, silence over gossip, grit over comfort, forgiveness over pride, patience over reaction, stillness over noise, reflection over impulse. Virtue asks for strength. When weakness is trending, it demands grace. When bitterness feels justified, to live virtuously is to live rooted, to stand tall in storms that would shake lesser foundations. It means living not as a leaf blown by every passing wind of opinion, but as a tree that bends and does not break. It is to live not for approval, but for alignment. It is to answer to a deeper law, one not written in books, but etched in conscience, tested in silence, and proven in daily action. When your identity is tethered to virtue, you become unshakable. You are no longer pulled by moods, by gossip, by comparison. You are no longer defined by the metrics of popularity, but by the integrity of your inner compass. You are not owned by public opinion or circumstance. You are anchored, grounded. Your soul develops its own gravity, pulling your actions into consistent alignment. You are directed by character. You are driven by principle. You become less reactive, more intentional, less impressed by noise, more attuned to truth. You don't follow trends. You follow values. You don't act to impress. You act to be in alignment. You rise above pettiness because your goals are larger than ego. You turn down temptation because your mission is more valuable than comfort. You stop being seduced by shortcuts because you've come to respect the slow and sacred pace of real progress. And in that alignment, you discover what it means to live fully, not in comfort, but in meaning, not in ease, condemnation, but a liberation. It tells us that we are not helpless in the face of time. We are careless, and care can be corrected. Time is your most valuable asset. It cannot be earned, borrowed, or replenished. You can lose money and make more. You can lose possessions and replace them. But a moment lost is lost forever. It is spent by the second. Whether you guard it or not, whether you use it to build or let it drift into distraction, time is slipping by, silently and irrevocably. When you rise in the morning, say to yourself, "This time I have is not endless. Every minute matters. These are not words of fear. They are words of fierce freedom. This is not pressure. It is permission. Permission to live with boundaries, to protect your attention, to say no to things that drain you. Not because you are harsh, but because you are honest about what truly matters. To stop lingering in indecision, waiting for perfect clarity, when action is what brings clarity. To stop being careless. With the gift of hours, treating time like it is an infinite commodity, when in reality, it is the rarest thing you own. Every minute you waste is a minute you will never get back. That's not meant to frighten. It's meant to awaken. The Stoic does not rush, but they are deliberate. Their movements are purposeful, not panicked. Their energy is calm, not chaotic. They know that each moment deserves full attention, not hurried execution. There is no glory in speed, if it comes at the cost of clarity. They understand that urgency without clarity is chaos, but urgency with wisdom is transformation. The Stoic doesn't move faster to get more done. They move deliberately to ensure what gets done matters. Their actions are rooted in reason, not restlessness. They understand that to waste the morning is to set fire to the entire day, because how you begin often determines how you end. The Stoics believed that the first hour of the day was the most important. It was the anchor point, the orientation, the mental groundwork for the hours ahead. You cannot expect strength from a structure built on a weak foundation. And the same is true of your time when you start your day with intention. You carry that intention forward when you begin in a frenzy. The rest of the day becomes an attempt to catch up, not to reality, but to yourself. The first hour of your day lays the foundation for everything that follows. It sets the tone for your thinking, the quality of your conversations, the steadiness of your decisions. It shapes your mood, your decisions, your discipline. It determines whether you are led by impulse or guided by principle. If you treat it carelessly by drowning in distraction, rushing through thoughts, skipping over presence, you spend the rest of the day in repair. You try to patch leaks instead of fortifying structure. But if you treat it with reverence, you move through the day with power with self. Command with a sense of quiet direction that doesn't shout, but never loses course with each action. Ask, is this worthy of my limited time? Is this an act of purpose or a reflex of habit? Am I honoring the fact that I will not get this moment again? What am I exchanging this irreplaceable time for? And is the exchange worth it? What future does this moment build? These are not dramatic questions. They are practical tools. They are the daily lens through which a Stoic evaluates action. Because once you grasp the rarity of each day, you begin to measure your choices by a different metric. Not convenience, not popularity, but truth to the Stoic. These aren't rhetorical questions. They are daily filters for every behavior, every commitment, every yes and no. Each choice, each minute, each task is passed through a gate of scrutiny. Does it align with who I claim to be? Is this helping me become stronger, wiser, more? Just when you understand how finite life is, every decision becomes sacred time, then is not managed. It is honored that awareness does not paralyze it, prioritizes. It simplifies it, sharpens your focus. It takes a world of endless to-dos and clarifies it into a few meaningful musts. It refines your habits. It changes your posture toward time, not as a commodity to be spent, but as a companion to be honored. You begin to trade short-term stimulation for long-term satisfaction. You begin to value depth over speed, quality over quantity, essence over appearance. You learn to say no, not because you are rude, but because you respect the finiteness of life. You recognize that being busy is not the same as being effective. You shift your compass from reaction to intention. You realize that wasting your time is not just inefficient, it is a betrayal of the one life you are given. And that betrayal is often not dramatic. It is quiet daily and preventable. So set your standard, not once, but every morning. Decide what is sacred and protect it. Decide what matters and eliminate what doesn't guard your time, like it is life itself, because it is. Do not apologize for protecting your peace. Do not wait for a crisis to value your time. And each morning, remind yourself this time is not endless. I will not live like it is. These words are not just reminders. They are commands. They are anchors. They are battle cries against a world designed to distract you from your destiny. Then act accordingly, not rushed, not scattered, but sovereign. Walk into the day, not chasing time, but walking alongside it, honorably, attentively, powerfully. Chapter 7. I am not my feelings. Feelings come and go, like weather patterns. They pass through you, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, sometimes with thunder and lightning, and sometimes with silent drift. They shape your perception of reality, but they are not reality itself. Some mornings, you may wake heavy, with no explanation, as if your heart remembered something your mind hasn't caught up to yet. A dull ache, a quiet sorrow, a weight without a name. Other mornings you feel light open and unburdened, as if grace is sitting beside you. The world feels generous, time feels still, some mornings angry, for no clear reason. A tightness in the chest, a tension in the voice. This is part of being human, not a defect, not a weakness, but a fact of our emotional terrain. Emotions are weather systems within the soul, but the Stoic understands a deeper truth. You are not your feelings. You are the one observing them. You are not the storm. You are the sky. It passes through the soul, is not the cloud. It is the sky behind it, steady and vast. Marcus Aurelius knew emotions could be intense. He understood their power, how they could surge like a flood and drown reason, how they could cloud vision, tighten the chest and paralyze thought. He faced anger, sorrow, fear, and temptation, just as we do. But he also knew one essential truth. Emotions are not permanent. They rise, they crest, they fade. They are not laws to follow, but signals to interpret. They are suggestions, not orders. They are signals, not commands. Invitations, not obligations. They ask for attention, but not obedience. The wise man does not deny emotion, but he does not obey it. He acknowledges its presence without handing over control. He listens without surrender. He observes without attachment. He allows the wave to rise and fall, without letting it dictate his direction. He acknowledges emotion as a teacher, not a tyrant. It is information, not instruction. It's there to be honored, not to be obeyed. It is a mirror, not a master, a reflection of what we're experiencing, not who we are the moment you let your mood dictate your values. You have given your life over to chance. You are no longer led by principle. You are pulled by impulse. You become like a boat without a rudder, at the mercy of storms, drifting without direction. One day, up one day, down one day, resolute, the next day, reactive. You chase happiness, like a mirage, constantly running toward what cannot be held, and flee sadness, like a curse as if it is not part of the human condition. You speak in ways you regret. You act in ways that sabotage your peace. You drift from your values and then wonder why you feel lost. Your character becomes inconsistent because it is anchored in something unstable, shifting with every emotional current. But the Stoic knows this is preventable. The Stoic understands that freedom lies in discipline, and discipline begins in the space between emotion and action. So the Stoic practices daily emotional literacy, noticing the emotion, naming it, and choosing the next best action. Anyway, they don't run from what they feel. They face it fully and honestly. They pause, they reflect. They step back from the edge of impulse and choose the ground of reason. They create distance between what is felt and what is done. That pause is not weakness, it is wisdom. They sit with the discomfort. Instead of reacting to it, they breathe through the rising storm of anger or sorrow. They stay with the feeling long enough to understand its source. They investigate the root of the feeling, not to control it, but to understand it. Because understanding is what turns emotion into insight. They do not numb, they navigate. They do not suppress, they steer. They do not pretend the emotion isn't there. They simply refuse to make it king. They put the virtue in the driver's seat, not the feeling. Courage takes the wheel. When fear knocks, patience steps forward. When frustration mounts, justice governs. When judgment tries to rush in wisdom, steadies the hand when panic trembles through it. This is the discipline of emotional self-leadership, to feel without folding, to experience without being engulfed. This builds muscle, it builds mastery. Each moment of restraint is a repetition of inner strength. Each time you choose alignment over reaction, you sharpen the edge of your integrity. These small acts of emotional self-regulation are not small at all. They are the bricks of character. They are how dignity is constructed. Emotional mastery isn't about being emotionless. It's about being anchored. It's about becoming someone who can feel deeply and still act wisely. Someone who can hurt and still choose kindness. Someone who can feel fear and still take the next right step. Someone who can stand in the middle of inner turbulence and still choose the path of virtue. Over time, it creates a steady center, one that can feel everything, yet be governed by what is true. Not just what is felt, one that is human but not hostage, one that is alive but not lost, one that is emotionally aware, yet spiritually composed. It is a kind of person who can hold space for pain without projecting it, who can bear tension without unleashing it on others. Emotional awareness becomes a form of strength, and strength tempered with wisdom becomes peace, the kind that no circumstance can steal and no mood can shake it. Becomes the foundation of a life lived with clarity, courage, and unshakable purpose. The Stoic does not aspire to be untouched. They aspire to be unshaken. That is the goal, and that is the path each morning. Check in with yourself. Ask, what am I feeling, and what will I do? Despite it, then say, I am not my feelings. I am the one who chooses what to do with them. Chapter 8, I begin again. No matter yesterday. Yesterday may have been a failure, or a victory, or a fog. It might have brought lessons, burdens, or breakthroughs. None of that matters today. Not because it wasn't real, but because it is no longer in your hands. The Stoic treats each morning as a clean slate, a new page unmarked by yesterday's missteps or triumphs. The past is useful only in how it informs the present, not in how it paralyzes it. Its only value is in what it teaches, not what it weighs down. Carry the insight forward, but leave the baggage behind. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often, forget everything else. Keep hold of this alone, and remember it. Each of us lives only now, this brief instant. The rest has been lived already, or is impossible to see. In those words lies not just wisdom, but freedom. You are not chained to the version of you that woke up yesterday. You are not confined by what you got wrong or what you didn't finish. You are not defined by the memory of your missteps or inflated by the praise of your past triumphs. You have today. You have this moment, this single opening in time through which you can pass from hesitation into action. And this moment is enough to start again with purpose, with power, with perspective. There is power in this reset. No shame carried from yesterday. No arrogance either. No resting on your past wins, and no drowning in your past wounds. No clinging to guilt that no longer serves, and no leaning on success that no longer applies. This moment does not care what came before. It only asks who you are willing to be. Now you are not your history. You are your habits. You are your decisions in motion. You are what you choose to do next. That means no matter how yesterday ended in defeat, in distraction, or even in glory, today is not beholden to that narrative. You can step forward, clean and clear into the next chapter. Begin again with virtue. Yes, with clarity. Yes, but also with compassion for yourself and courage for the unknown. Begin again with a posture that says, I'm not finished yet. I still have more to become. Begin again with the humility to admit that growth is not linear, and the wisdom to know that progress is not perfection. Each morning is not just a new page. It is a new permission. Slip to be bold, to be intentional, and to be renewed. Begin again, not because you have failed, but because that is all any of us can do. Even the strongest among us begin again, each morning recommitting to the work, to the path, to the truth. They start with their values, not their emotions. They return to what matters most. Beginning again is not weakness. It is strength. It is the highest form of resilience. It is a declaration that your past will not monopolize your present. It is the sacred act of reclaiming the moment from the past. It is a brave refusal to let regret become identity. It is renewal. It is realignment. It is the quiet act of self-respect, of telling yourself you still have time and you still have power. It is the daily act of saying, I refuse to be ruled by yesterday's weight. It is proof that your story is still unfolding, that your potential is still expanding, and that today, right now, is still worth showing up for, still worth fighting for, still full of something sacred, waiting to be done. And if you treat that truth with reverence, not obligation, you begin to shape days that matter, one grounded choice at a time. Look in the mirror each morning and say, yesterday is not today. I begin again. I begin with strength and simplicity. Chapter 9. Today is for building, not just survival. Survival is not enough. Existence is not the same as living the Stoic. Does not wake up to endure another 24 hours. They wake up to sculpt it, to confront it, to bring form to the formlessness of passing time. Too often we drift through the day, in defense mode, reacting, enduring, managing, waiting for the evening to arrive, as if the goal is just to make it through. But the Stoic knows that simply existing is not the measure of a life. The measure is in what you create, in what you transform, in what you leave stronger than you found it. The Stoic wakes up to build, to shape, to strengthen, to contribute, something lasting, not just consume another day. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This is proactive living. It's the architecture of becoming, not reacting to life, but responding with intention, not waiting for circumstances to inspire action, but deciding your purpose and letting your actions build toward it. It's a philosophy of authorship. You write the script, then you live it. You do not drift into greatness. You build it, brick by brick, with relentless attention to what matters. You shape your future, not through wishes, but through will you do not wait for opportunity. You construct your opportunity. You carve it from effort, from repetition, from deliberate action every day. Is a brick a moment to be laid deliberately, with attention, with precision, with discipline, laid carefully, with effort, with awareness. Some bricks are small, a kind word, a healthy choice, a difficult restraint. Others are foundational, a major decision, a bold step, a sacrifice made for long-term growth. But all bricks matter, all actions build, each thought becomes a pattern. Each pattern becomes a habit, and every habit, laid daily, forms the house of your identity. Each morning is an act of construction, and you are the builder, the architect, and the foundation. All at once, your tools are focus, clarity, and courage. Your blueprint is your values. You do not have to do everything today, but you must do something meaningful, something anchored in value, not urgency. One thing that echoes forward, one act that reflects the person you say. You want to become one moment where you resist the easy thing. For the essential thing, you must begin not with 100 tasks, but with one moment of aligned intention. Something aligned with your core values, not just your current emotions. This is how transformation takes root, not in dramatic acts, but in daily disciplines, daily alignment, daily courage, daily effort. Build discipline, the inner framework that carries you through indecision and discomfort. Build clarity, the ability to discern what matters from what merely distracts. Build virtue, not as a label, but as a lifestyle. Let it guide what you do, even when no one is watching. Build it quietly, steadily, patiently. Build a routine that protects your peace. Build resilience with your habits. Build boundaries that guard your energy. Do not just survive this day. Shape it, mold it. Mark it with intention. Sculpt it like a craftsman who works not with speed, but with precision. Leave a fingerprint on it that says, I was here and I made this day better. Shape it with your words, with your effort, with your silence, with your boundaries, with your courage, with the small moments you don't post, but still do build a life that reflects who you are and who you are still becoming, because each moment is not just passing, it is planting, and what you plant today is what your character will harvest tomorrow. Let this day not just pass through your hands, let it be forged by them. Practice this. Write down one action that builds your character today. Say, today is not just for survival. Today is for construction. I build what matters. Chapter 10. I will meet life with grace. And grit, some mornings will be smooth, others stormy. Some will feel inspired, while others feel empty. Some mornings will open like sunlight, breaking through fog. Others will feel like dragging yourself through resistance, both physical and emotional. The Stoic does not rely on the weather of emotion. They do not place their hope in how they feel. The moment they wake, they rely on the roots of principle, on the deep grounding of values that do not sway with mood or circumstance. They know the world does not owe them clarity or comfort, but they owe themselves discipline and virtue. Life will test you. Life will stretch you. It will bring both fire and frost. But the Stoic welcomes this, not because it is easy, but because it is essential. They see pain not as punishment, but as preparation. They greet adversity not as bad luck, but as the forge of greatness. The test becomes a training. The obstacle becomes the opportunity. The setback becomes the sharpening. Marcus Aurelius said, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. These words are not abstract theory. They are marching orders. They are how the Stoic transforms suffering into strength and resistance into resolve. This is the final truth for every morning. Meet the day with grace and grit. Grace to accept what you cannot control: the weather, the mood, the timing, the world's unpredictability. Grace to forgive yourself when you stumble. Grace to pause when you're overwhelmed. Grace to release what doesn't serve your higher self. And grit, the unshakable decision to act with excellence, no matter how you feel. Grit to do the hard thing, even when it's thankless. Grit to rise when you feel low grit, to follow through. Even when comfort calls, do not wish for ease. Wish for the strength to endure. Wish for clarity under pressure. Wish for composure in the storm. And then embody that wish with action, with posture, with power. This is how you honor the day, not with perfection, but with presence and perseverance. Say this as your final mantra. I will meet life today with grace in my heart and grit in my soul. Nothing will shake me from who I am becoming. You woke up. That is the miracle. That is the momentum. That is the meaning. The Stoics didn't ask the world to be easy. They asked themselves to be excellent. And that began with the first breath of morning. Say these words every day, not just when you feel strong, especially when you don't, because your future self is shaped not by motivation, but by repetition. Your character is not built in grand speeches, but in quiet daily reminders. This is not a script. It is a way of being. Say it, live it, and carry it forward.